A concept that we've talked an awful lot about in the last section was about execution and how that happens in tandem with monitoring and controlling. So doing the project work is something that you balance between execution and monitor and control. Recall in execution, our goal is on getting things done, but getting out of the way and letting the project team members do their work. Well, monitoring and control is the other side of that equation, that yes, we get out of the way, we don't hold them back from making progress, but we want to make certain that the work that they're doing is on time, on budget, on scope, on quality, and it's in consideration of any risk. So our goal in this lecture is to talk about overseeing the project work and looking at the actual experience in relation to what was planned. So if the actual labor is greater than what was planned, then we have a time variance, we have a cost variance, and we need to address that. So it helps us to assess project performance. It may help us to identify new project risk, and then we're going to record the actuals on project work. What I mean by actuals is how long did it actually take to do assignments, how much did it cost, were there any risk or issues that happened, and then what do we do to respond to that. Throughout your project, you may have an opportunity. Well, I say it's an opportunity. You're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have changes. Now, sometimes changes are planned. Like the customer says, hey, I've got this great new idea that I want you to include in the project. So instead of a 2-car garage, I want a 3-car garage. All right, well, if we want to make that happen, we have to go back and get blueprints and permits and foundations, and it's going to have a big change on the time and the cost of the project. But those are planned actions. Sometimes you have unplanned changes, though, where the project team members are to paint this room a tan color, and they end up with the wrong paint, and it ends up being yellow. Well, it's changed. It was not the correct color of paint. So now what are we going to do with it? So that was a defect or an error. So you have unplanned changes, and we have this idea of client's proposed changes. Right? I want the 3-car garage instead of the 2-car garage. So depending on where you are in your project life cycle, that will determine how much this change is going to cost. If you've built this house and all the landscaping's done and everything's working, and you've got the certificate of occupancy from your city, and it's done and people are ready to move in, and then your customer says, you know what, I decided I want an indoor swimming pool. Well, that's a huge change, right? Because you're done. You'd have to really rip apart everything and start from scratch, basically, to make an indoor swimming pool. But if the customer came to you on the second or third day of the project and they said, you know what, I've decided I want to have an indoor swimming pool. All right, we can make that happen. Because it's early in the project. We haven't actually gone out and done any real labor or work yet. We've just done some planning and drawing and so on. So it's not going to be as expensive to make changes early in the project as it may be later in the project. So depending on where the changes proposed may affect how feasible it is to fold those changes into the plan.